I'm the underdog with the heroic heart. I'm Eric Jones Jr. I have to keep pushing for my kids. If I give up, what's that leave them with? Nothing. I have to understand that it's bigger than me. That it's not about me when I wake up and go to work. It's not about me when I'm reading and educate myself. It's not about me when I'm practicing my speeches. It's not about me. It's about my family. Hey, you're now tuned in to Underdog Talk, and I'm your host, Eric Jones Jr., the underdog with the heroic heart, and I have conversations with successful underdogs, and I have Lori today. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing good. There you go with the ma'am.
See, and I thought about it because they're gonna be like, Lori, I was about to say Miss Lori. She told me don't say Miss Lori because she don't want to sound like nobody grandma. And then I said, how you doing, ma'am? That just already put it back in. I don't know
You could
her
say
anything.
okay, so you could just say Lori. You could because I'm not married anymore, so you could just say Lori Holmes because that's my maiden name. Wheaton is
Okay,
my married name.
okay, we're gonna go with Lori. On the notes, it's gonna say Lori Holmes. It's gonna say that. How
Okay.
you doing? How are you doing today?
I am doing fabulous. How about you?
I'm doing all right. I ain't gonna lie. I'm tired. I had fell asleep earlier. Didn't realize that I fell asleep. I was like, oh, okay, let me get up because I got to do this recording. So I definitely I'm going to sleep. I'm not even gonna watch the game tonight. I'm going straight to sleep after we finish this. So yeah,
Okay, I hear that.
yeah. So before we get into today's conversation, today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Christian Dewan. That's positive energy through your clothing, and that's my personal clothing brand. Me and my son, we sell t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies for everybody. Your nephew, your niece, your grandma, your auntie, your mama, you, whoever it is, we got it for everybody. It's just different sayings on shirts that some of them are stuff that you think but you wouldn't say out loud, and some of them are definitely positive because it's for children too. So use the promo code Underdog Talk, and Underdog is spelled UNDERDAWG Talk, and you get 15% off. And the website is christiandewan.com. So we're going to get into today's conversation. We're going to start off with um, the mental health of being an educator. And I'm a gentleman, and I will let the lady, I ain't gonna, the young lady go first. And when we're speaking about, the mental health, because we're both educators, but we're on different levels. She's college, I'm elementary, so we're both on different spectrums. So go ahead, Miss. I mean, Lori, go ahead.
Okay. So when I think about the mental health concern, when the pandemic hit, it really was a game changer because myself and a lot of my colleagues, we had no experience teaching virtually. I'm a brick and mortar teacher. My training is, I was taught how to teach in person. And so when the pandemic struck and we were told that we had to now take our in-person classes and turn them into virtual classes with literally I don't know if we got 4 hours of training, but the expectation was that our classes virtually needed to look like what they look like in person. Impossible. So in addition to dealing with all that came with being on lockdown and a very scary time because people were like dying from, you know, COVID. So dealing with that and then now having to teach and also having to deal with the mental health of my students. So I got to deal with my mental health. I got to deal with the mental health of my students. And I have administration breathing down my back. And I have to juggle all of this. And I'm also a mom, right? So I have my own children that I'm concerned about, even though they're adults, but still. So it was a lot. It was really, really a lot. And I don't think that administration, I can speak for the administration where I work, I don't think that administration really realized how much of a toll it took on our mental health. Like, wasn't nobody trying to give us any services or anything like that. So it was basically you teach, you get through it by any means necessary. So that's how it went down for me. So I don't know if your if your experience was similar or.
Yeah. So with me, I had just started teaching like I think so pandemic in 19. So I was like 2 or 3 years in.
Mhm.
And so then the pandemic hit, and I at the time I'm teaching special needs or special
Mm.
education. So a lot of my students didn't really get online. So when it came to that part, but just from them going to school, then they come back months later, then not being in school, it was definitely rough on them because their routine and throwing off the routine, and then definitely being a parent. My son was with me, I think, a lot more during that because I was, his mom worked, I kind of worked, but he could still come to school with me because I was at the school but there was no students. So just
Mhm.
making sure he got on there, and he's in first grade, so it's like, okay, I'm teaching or doing my stuff and then trying to help him, and he only in first grade. He
Mm.
kind of like, he'd be quiet. Like I used to walk over there, he'd be asleep. Like, man, what are you doing? And he knew like I couldn't really check on him like that, so he like, man, I'm gonna go to sleep. Or he be he talking to his friends on the Zoom, like stuff he ain't supposed to do. And I'm like, I couldn't really be upset. So definitely the mental health, especially working with autistic children or special needs children, is definitely challenging on the brain because it's mental every day. Like you got to understand. Sometimes it's not even about education; it's about winning the day. Like
Mhm.
you just got to win that day. Like you can't get your butt kicked, not literally, but you can't let them kick your butt today. And you get through it, and nobody gets anything happen to them or anything of that sort. So it definitely was challenging with COVID, and I think it was new, especially with me like being, kind of like really getting in my groove and really like understanding my classroom and all that. And then boom, here comes COVID. And then being at home, then it's like, okay, I'm used to being with people every single day. Now I'm at home by myself. Like it was
Mhm.
tolling on the brain. But for me personally, I got uh I got to know me more. Like,
Mm.
so I was like watching stuff that I actually wanted to watch. I was binge watching. I was like working out. I was doing like all the routine. I had nothing else to do. Where else was I going? No.
Mhm.
Then I started a business, and just me personally, I was able to find myself, and that helped with my mental health. And because you got to work on your mental health, and I think at that point, I kind of was like really, I'm a speaker too, so I'm kind of like personal development, but understanding mental how important mental health is, and that's when I really was on it because COVID was definitely crazy. My mom, I'll let you speak in just a second. My mom,
Mhm.
husband passed away, so just being have to be there for my mom in the middle of the school year, definitely was like it's definitely challenging. I'm the man that I've kind of always been the man in the house. Her and her husband got married later as I was an adult, so it's like I got to go home, got to make sure my mom's okay, and then come back and make sure the kids are okay. So it's definitely was challenging, but it was also possible to get through without necessarily getting professional help. So
Mhm.
so for you, what are the things that you did for your mental health, or did you have any like struggles during that time frame?
Um. So most of my struggles revolved around just not liking to teach in the virtual environment. Like I absolutely hated it. I was used to teaching in front of my students. I'm used to standing in front of the classroom, walking around the classroom, engaging students. And when we had to teach in a virtual environment, we no longer had, I wasn't doing that. And then on top of that, it wasn't required that we turned on our audio, and it had to do with, I don't know, it's like liability, confidentiality stuff. So we didn't have to turn on our audio, and I mean on our video, and neither did the students. So like you're literally talking to a screen. So I had to get it in my head that okay, so this is the landscape that we're dealing with right now. So you're either gonna adapt, or you're gonna wind up laying in your bed in the fetal position all day, upset because of what we're going through. So one of the things that I did is I never stopped working out. I never stopped working out. Even though the gym was closed, I still, where I live at in my development, they have like an area that's kind of like you could use it like a track, and you can like walk or run around the track. I have weights in my house. I have kettlebells and stuff like that. I would go on long extended walks with my daughter. So working out and also doing some yoga in my house, that really helped to maintain my sanity big
Mm.
time.
No, I love that because some people during that time frame like stop working out. It was either
Mm-hmm.
you was a super health person or you was just like I'm chilling. I ain't got nowhere to go. Like I'm eating snacks. I'm binge watching TV. I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I'm big chilling. Like it, we can't go
Mm-hmm.
nowhere. So I think I didn't necessarily like go to the gym or walk, but I definitely was hitting my sit ups more. I was definitely doing push ups, doing different stuff. A lot more drinking more water. So and actually like making little smoothies and eating a little bit healthier during that time frame. So
Mm-hmm.
um outside of so I definitely so when you said virtual before I get to where I was going, virtual. So imagine getting online with
Mm-hmm.
autistic children
I
and you
can't imagine that. I can't even imagine that.
and
Mm-hmm.
and you teaching and you trying to teach them and
Mm-hmm.
parents there, but it's a it was a struggle. But I did have one kid and like I his mom definitely kudos to his mom because he grew through COVID. Like he was, I think, in kindergarten when right before COVID, and then that year of COVID, he was a first grader, and he
Mm-hmm.
been verbal or none of that. And it's the craziest thing. His mom did not want him to work with anybody else but me, and I was just a teacher assistant. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
just, but he was a big little kid, and it took a man to kind of like get him, stay with him and all that. And she was like, she wanted me to be his teacher, and
Mm-hmm.
so that was like a struggle on my mental. Like just like he was the only kid every day consistently that got on, but it was a struggle. But then it got to the point where it wasn't a struggle anymore because his mom was involved, and I think we'll get to like the students later, but parents being involved definitely helped during COVID
Mm.
because um, she had to do all the stuff at the house. She had to
Right.
come up with activities and stuff, and she was like, "Yeah, we've been working." And like he's having verbal conversation, kind of like he's answering stuff. He actually said my name, and that's like, bro, you ain't never. We done been in class. You done went to war with me. You done beat me up. You done did all this stuff. I ain't never heard you say my name. But
Mm.
and he was like, "Good morning" and all that, and it was because of the mom's participation. So sometimes, like in that situation, not even just COVID, because we're past COVID. Well, who knows what's going on? But anyways, like parents have to be involved to help with that teacher, because when there's parents involved, it gives us less stress of like, okay, I got to deal with him. He didn't went home and he just did whatever. He come back to school like parents. I don't think parents understand. Like when we send the kids back to y'all gotta have some type of structure because when they come back, it's like a whole new day.
So
So
let
for
me
you,
let me ask you this. So would you say that the parents overall were supportive and helpful, or were they more combative? Because I read about, instances, and I've seen instances where the parents, instead of being helpful, it was almost like they were going to war with the teachers. But
Um, I would say most of them were supportive because they understood like without them, their kid wouldn't be able to do anything like
mhm,
online. Now there was like a couple students that could get online, or at least their parents set them up, and their parents would go away. So it's like,
mhm,
we really not learning anything because the kid just sitting there like, I don't have to say nothing. So it was like some parents were with it, some parents just wasn't with it. It's like, but they didn't understand this is helping their kids. So definitely. So I have an instance where a teacher's mental health was definitely at like the worst, right?
mhm.
So I had a student because I did summer school, and this has to do with a parent too. So this particular student, bad as hell. I ain't gonna lie to you, like bad, like she just bad as hell. And I had her all summer. Had her all the. She was in the summer school, my summer school class. I was a aide in a class, and she was in there. And so I knew her throughout the regular school year, and I'm like, shorty bad. So they forgot to. This new school year came up. They forgot to put the teacher forgot to put her Zoom on mute and was
Oh Lord.
talking bad about the little girl. And
Oh
definitely,
boy.
she definitely was wrong to have the what she said wasn't necessarily wrong, but then the mom and try to make it racial because the teacher was white. I'm like, no, your kid's just bad, and you didn't never participate. You never help. You always
Mm,
well, y'all trying to do this to my kid. No, sometimes parents make that mental health for a teacher worse. It ain't even the
mhm.
kid; it's the parent. Like you said, they get
Absolutely.
back like, or if the kid bad, the parent come up there cussing. Uh,
Mhm.
where you think little Timmy get it from? You, hey, swear, you didn't came up here and cussed us out right in front of him. Why you think he cuss us out every day?
Exactly. Exactly. Mhm.
So for you now, as like we're still in education, and how is the mental health after coming back? Hey, it's normal, back to normal. How was it then? Like the change, or not? If not just yourself, just teachers around you. Like what was that change to go back from that virtual? Like I don't know what the hell I'm doing here, and now it's like I get to be back to being myself. And I know it's kind of different, especially with us having to wear masks for the longest of time. That
Mm.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So how is that for you? And now that COVID's over and we're out of the mask, but we still, who knows, COVID it might come back around or whatever. But how is the mental health for you?
So right now, right, and like I know in New York, we went from orange to red. So COVID is still like a big threat for us in New York. Um, I'm currently teaching one class on campus, and I teach the other classes. I'm still virtual, and it was really weird going back into the classroom after 2 years. Like I kind of felt a little bit like a fish out of water, but I got with the program real quick. Um, and I'm lucky because the class I'm teaching I like the students is only nine, 8 or 9 of them, so that's fine. Um, but I'm definitely feeling much better, like overall. And probably about a year ago, I decided not just for COVID reasons, but because I was experiencing some challenges, like in my relationship, my significant relationship, and I decided that I would go back into therapy, and it was the best thing that I ever could do. I found me a therapist. She's a black woman. She can relate. I just I find myself I've grown by leaps and bounds while seeing her, and it has definitely helped me be a better educator. So I'm a big advocate of therapy. I don't know who your target audience is, but I know that oftentimes in the black community, People frown upon therapy. It's very stigmatized. Oh, that's not something that Black people do. Only white people go to therapy. Therapy can be a game changer. Good therapy. So I certainly am an advocate of good therapy, and that really helped me. So right now, I feel like I'm in a good place. Definitely, yeah.
I, my bad, but I love it. I mean to cough, but I love it because I am an advocate for therapy. Like I have a counselor, um, and it's definitely been game changing. Like to be able to, whoo, and let your hair down, and then get
Mm-hmm.
like nobody judging you. They giving you like a different perspective to look at it like a certain way. It's like,
Absolutely.
okay, and it's definitely helpful. So for me, coming out of COVID, um, they were on straight. I cuss sometimes, so don't mind me. They was on straight bullshit. Like for real with
Uh-huh.
it's like, hold on, y'all want us to do all this and y'all can't give us no more money. So
Mm.
this the bullshit of the bullshit. So
Mm-hmm.
I get a better job, but I'm teaching younger kids and not too. I got a couple autistic children, but not too many. Like really one that's like on the spectrum of my kids that I was in. So as soon as I leave, they take some months and all that. The administrator leave or the superintendent leave. Now Joker's getting good pay. I'm like, so y'all gonna do that after I leave, right? That's cool. That's cool. But anyway,
Wow.
so that like just the struggle of the money because if we're not there being a teacher's assistant, we're not there, we don't get paid.
Right.
It's like, man, that's messing with the mental. It's like how I got to get another job. He really can't get another job because of COVID. That's why I came. That's why I got my business because I'm like I got to make some money somehow. These bills don't care about a COVID. I
Mm-hmm.
did, but they didn't, and they like, well, we really don't care about that good old COVID. So then being a preschool teacher, definitely mental health wise,
Mm-hmm.
counselor, you need a getaway. You need to be able to have mental health days because they're very important. Because there's nothing wrong with little kids, but they just little kids. I really don't want to
Exactly.
not bad. They just little kids. Some of them cry. I got a couple kids. They just. I'd be like, "What? Why? Why are you crying?" Like, and just on the mental, like you could go, like, cause just think about being a parent and your kids just cutting up. Just imagine you having a house full of all the kids cutting up, and you like, okay, I want to whoop all you jokers. I can't whoop you. It's like, like on a mental health note, like I definitely take mental health days. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely like on weekends sometimes. Like I'm not doing jack. I'm
Yep.
just gonna chill, and it's needed. And sometimes when you're trying to build a brand and you're trying to be a full time entrepreneur, you're like I gotta grind, grind, grind. But it's like no, no, you need to sit down because you ain't gonna be right. Get some sleep. Like
Absolutely.
there's different things that you want to do as an educator, and we're not just talking to educators. This is anybody, but we're both educators. So like we understand. Like get you a counselor. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna help you in the long run because you don't want to be one of them. You don't want to be one of them people that all you talk about is school. That's all you got. That's all you got is how bad your class is or how good. All you talk about is the school because you don't have anything outside of that life. I think some teachers, some educators, that's all they have. It's
Yep.
just that life, and it's like no, there's more to life than that. Go on vacation. Like it's especially hard when you have kids because you get off work and then they like, hey, and your kid's about to cut up. Like they about to, they just know they like, yeah, mom, dad's home. Yeah, it's time to cut up. And it's like, I didn't dealt with jokers all day. I definitely don't feel like dealing with you. So I, being a parent, how does that you got your students, then you come home. Does that take a toll, or did you have some type of a structure that you understood, like, or your kids understood, like, all right, mom needs an hour, mom needs whatever, or how did that part of it go? Because that definitely is challenging being an educator and having children, especially if you got children like the same age as yours. If you got younger children, Oh yes, yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
Well, thank goodness my kids, I have a 26-year-old son. He doesn't even live with me. He lives upstate where he went to undergrad and graduate school. So he's up there doing his thing. And my daughter is 23. So I have to deal with none of that because everybody grown. So people take care of themselves. Of course, I'm there, I'm mom. I still, going to do some things. But thank goodness, I can't even imagine having to deal all day online with students. And then now I got to come home and put on my mommy hat. Didn't have to do that. Didn't have to do that. One of the things I must say about, this whole virtual thing is that I literally went on vacation numerous times, and the fact that I'm teaching virtually, I could just take my laptop wherever. So at one point, I was in Vegas. I had my laptop. So only thing I had to do was account for the time difference, right? Then another time, I was in Florida. Then another time, I was in Cabo in Mexico. I was in Virginia. So me and my handy dandy trusty laptop was able to go on vacation, still do my work, and I was chilling. It was wonderful.
Yeah, that all you had to do is put on a nice shirt.
Not even, because remember I said that we never had to turn on our camera.
Oh, lucky you.
So I could be
Uh,
sitting there. I could be sitting there teaching in a bathing suit, and nobody would ever know.
yeah. So, um, so I just want to get back to something. So your children are 26 and 23.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't want to say ma'am, but ma'am, you kind of somewhere in that ma'am conversation because I'm only 36. So I know if you got children a little younger than me, you could be my mom's age or you could be somewhere
or
in there.
or I could have had my son when I was 18.
Yeah, you still ma'am though. You could be a grandma. Like he could call you and be like, "Hey," you could get that call from either one of your kids. Like, "Hey, you gonna be a granny." So like, yeah, I didn't want to have to go back there, but I was sitting there and I wrote these ages. And I was like, I see why she say that. She don't want to speak that into existence of grannyhood. I get it. I get it. I understand. I totally understand.
That's
Um,
funny.
definitely, like I said earlier, when I like my son's with me and he's doing virtual, and I'm trying to, and he say he got a question, I gotta go over there, hurry up, help him while I'm doing. So luckily, like it wasn't too bad. Where he had his own computer, like in my classroom, so we didn't even use his like tablet from school because it was too like, and we'd had to use his tablet from school. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, he probably wouldn't even, he might not have done nothing because his tablet was messing up. It was challenging. It was challenging as a parent to like get that and make sure I'm doing my work. And it's like, okay, I'm an educator. You might not be online, but I got some work for you to do. Like I wouldn't just let them not do work. But
So
it
let me
was very. Go
let me
ahead.
so at the height of the pandemic, you had to be on site teaching, or you were teaching from
No,
home.
no. So at the like it shut down. I remember it shut down. We shut down for months. But
Mm-hmm.
then when it was virtual, when like they were like yeah, so when it was virtual we would go into the, we had to go in and we had to wear our mask and all that. So yeah, when school went back and it was virtual, I wasn't at home, nobody was at home, our whole school, I mean some people were, hey, I can't come in or whatever, but most people were at the school, like we were virtual, we had to wear our mask and stuff. So we were able to bring our children, but then like he wasn't in the same district as or the same township as me where I work. So it wasn't like I could just get a tablet from the library and it'll connect them into. So
Okay.
it's a whole nother thing. And like for some parents it was challenging, just being able to do that. Like so
Right.
I understand, you gotta work, you're working from home and you got a little man, mommy, help me, daddy, hey,
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
hold on, I gotta get this work. So it's like definitely for parents even now, like you said, there's still some schools that's virtual. Um, so it's definitely challenging. It's definitely challenging when you're on a computer all day long. That's draining your mental. And then
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got kids, and you got to be a mom. You got to be a dad. Oh, don't let you be married. You got to be a husband and a wife right after that. Oh yeah, it's a lot going on with
Absolutely.
educator. And I think one thing I want to say, educators don't get paid enough. Like we
Tell,
deal with
tell me
y'all
about it.
kids. Anybody that sign a check, y'all kids, because y'all had kids and they went to school. We deal with y'all kids every day, all day, every mood, in good, bad, ups and downs, and they don't want to pay us jack. The one thing that I
Mm-hmm.
think about it, what happened? The man went into school. Can't no teacher have no gun on him. We can't
Right.
protect ourselves. So if something like that happened, we got to just figure it out. I
Yep.
listen. This is what I said. I told people I work with. I said I'm gonna pray, and if God say, "Hey, save the people," I'm saving the people. But if He don't say, "Save the people," if your child don't come with me, we,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't saying it's. Hey, hopefully we all get out, but it's like I got to think about myself as well, and that's kind of hard as an educator. Like I can't leave all my kids, but what about my kids?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
so pay us more, like just a little bit,
Hmm.
just a little bit. That's all we ask for. Maybe give us like free health care, some type of benefit that don't got to do with some snacks or pizza. We don't care about all that. We can buy our own snacks and pizza
Right.
and yeah, all
I'll,
that. So
I'll
go ahead.
I'll take mines in money. I don't need any, any like, perks or whatever other than money. And what's really interesting, and I think what the pandemic has sort of highlighted is the fact that there were a lot of teachers pre-COVID who were fed up, and teachers are leaving the teaching profession by the hundreds every day.
Hmm.
It is a thankless job. Like you said, we don't get compensated fairly. I want to be paid what I'm worth,
Hmm.
period. Right? And so we're going to turn around, and in a couple of years, there's going to be such a teacher shortage. And the teacher shortage is going to be in areas where teachers are needed the most: inner city areas, rural areas. Those are going to be the areas where there are not going to be any teachers. I used to also teach, I taught for a year at a private school in New York where parents paid anywhere between 35 to $45,000 a year for their kids to attend school.
Hmm.
Right. And even though there was a lot of stuff with that, there's a lot of stuff with that, right? Because for the most part, the faculty and the students were white and wealthy, right? The students and their parents wealthy. So you have to deal with stuff that's connected to that, you know. But one thing that I must say is that in terms of pay and in terms of like perks and benefits, you you get a lot of perks and benefits and better pay when you work in this. I'm speaking for New York, when you work in the private school setting. But the trade-off is that you have to deal with these privileged kids and their privileged parents. And you know what I mean when I say that.
Oh, I definitely do. Definitely do. And yeah, I definitely understand it. And like you said, I feel this how I feel. I feel like there'll be schools, but it's gonna be different kind of schools. Cause
Mm-hmm.
like once you teach the kids how to read and write, a lot of that stuff that in schools don't really help them, don't really matter. Not saying that there's certain professions that their kids gonna have to go for the education, but like teaching about credit, teaching about different stuff, life skills that they need to
Mm-hmm.
be adult. I think that I actually want a school one day that has those different things in there, and hopefully I will be able to live that long and be able to actually have that in existence because I wanted to look school to look different. I didn't like school. I'm like, man,
Mm.
I don't. That's the craziest thing. I'm an educator. I didn't like school. I don't want to be here. Like I'm here because I want to make people laugh, and I like the girls here. Like I could write my name, and I knew how to listen and read, skim through the chapters and pass the test. But it's like none of this stuff mattered. Like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of stuff that I went to school for, besides reading and writing, I can't think of a lot of it that really matters in the profession that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yep.
like I want, and I know not just me. I'm sure is more people out there that it's going to be different kinds of schools. There's going to be schools where when you done, you ain't got to go get a 4 year degree. You could have made a couple million going through the school because they didn't taught you these different courses, and now you know how to do X, Y, and Z. And I think a lot of the older or seasoned, I ain't gonna say older because I just did a podcast and I said I'm not gonna say older, but seasoned people, they like, oh, gotta go to school and you gotta do this. It's like, no, you don't gotta go to school no more. You don't gotta go to college no more, like to be successful. Like maybe back in the day you had to, but now you don't. And I think that's where I want to get into the students' mental health. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's kids that think like I think right now. There's kids that thought like I thought, and it's like they have the pressure of their parents or, oh baby, you gonna be the first one in our family to go to college. I don't want to go to college. So what do you think as educators we can do, or as parents, what we can do to help children besides counseling? Because counseling is definitely important, definitely is helpful. But what can we do to help students with their mental health?
Wow. As an educator, I think that we need more mental health clinicians in schools. There was a time because see, I'm a teacher, right? Like I have a master's in public health and my experiences in teaching. So I'm not a mental health clinician. So and I don't propose to act like I'm one. So I think that schools need to make sure that they make available mental health professionals in schools. It's insane to me that you have schools that sit in communities where there's a lot of needs, mental health needs, physical health needs, social needs around poverty and homelessness and food insecurity, all type these kids come to school with so much on their plate. And then we get mad at them when they don't rise to the occasion and score high on tests. Well, excuse me. How about if we support our kids? How about if we have in the schools, we have mental health clinicians, we have mental health practitioners that can help these kids. As a teacher, I can empathize, I can be kind, I can be loving to my students, but I cannot help them with their mental health issues because I'm not trained to do so. So I would rather not open up that can of worms and do more harm than good to my students.
Yeah, when you were saying all that, I was really thinking because I watched this movie the other day, Lean on Me, and
Mm,
like the kids, like if you look at the students, they had all jacked up lives,
yeah,
all jacked up, and y'all like, oh, y'all gotta go do this test, bro. I'm worried about what I'm gonna eat today, and y'all want me to go take a test. I'm
exactly.
not worried about that because until you're like an educator, you don't really see how kids struggle. There on some kids only meal is school.
That's right.
And when like you said that, and I think what you said is very important to get that in schools. um but I'm kind of like I've had a mentor program in the elementary school, so I definitely like, I'm not a mental health specialist, but it's like just being there to talk to the kids, I think, and showing them that you care, because I think sometimes you got to show kids you're human.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
and when you show them that, they'll open up, and then that's where, like, so it's kind of like, you get a student, they come and now they open up, now oh, okay, I need to send you over here to the mental health specialist because you're going
Mm-hmm.
through it.
Right.
And it's not like you're saying, and I'm sure you're not saying like, oh, I'm not gonna help you. No. But if
Oh,
there was professionals, it would be much better because then now they gotta trust in me that, oh, this person gonna help you out. They gonna be like, hey, if you're going through something, Miss Lori gonna help you out. Mr. Eric gonna help you out. He gonna send you, and that's where we help the children. Because
right.
sometimes there's some jackass teachers,
Mm-hmm.
like they just dare and they just jackasses, and they
Yeah.
like, oh, why the kids ain't, you know why? Because you they teacher, they feed off your energy. They don't like you, and when kids don't like you, they gonna cut up. They don't care who around, what's going on. Like people don't realize, like sometimes it's the teacher that gives the kids that bad energy, and kids just feed off of it. And
Exactly. So if I'm so
like,
if I'm a teacher, right, and if I don't like my students, they know that. They, like you said, they pick up on the energy that the teacher, because as a teacher, I feel like I'm a mirror to my students. So whatever I put out there, I'm gonna get back. So if my students know that I don't like them, and I truly don't like them, then guess what? Right? Then they're not going to like me either. And so, how is good education going to take place? How are these students going to trust me? Because they know that deep down inside, I don't like your kind, right? And I'm keeping it 100. Like, I've worked in school settings where, the student body is predominantly or all Black and Hispanic, and the majority of the teachers are not. And they make it very clear that they don't like the students, nor do they like their kind. So if I'm a student and I know that you don't like my kind, then what are we doing? And nobody challenges these teachers on their bullshit.
exactly. And this, so I'm not, I don't have no kind of background education when it comes to school. Nothing. I just looked up and got past the test to be in the school system. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the kids will. You can. Their parents will tell you the kids love me. It don't matter what school, what age group, wherever I'm at. It's because They know I care. They might like. I'm sure some of the parents be like, I don't really know if he really teaching, if he what he going, what They be kind of skeptical. But once all their kids talking about is Mr. Eric or Mr. Jones, depending on whatever school I was at, like they
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, he's a cool dude. Like my kids really mess with you. So like then that's where it's on me to understand, okay, the kids love me. Now I gotta figure out how to really educate these little jokers because I just don't want a kid to leave my class and be like, oh, Mr. Eric was a cool teacher, but what did you learn? Oh, nothing. No, I want you to learn something from me. So
Mm-hmm.
also, like we do affirmations in my class. Like I said, I'm a preschool teacher. I'm teaching them early, like say something positive in the morning to yourself. Like
Mm.
and like when it comes to situations, I really break it down. Like I talk to them at their level, but I break it down to them like I would my son. I ain't never baby talk my son from the day I brought him home from the hospital, and I don't do it with my students. It's like if they ask me, and it's not a dumb question, but people understand what I'm saying. You kids ask silly questions. I
Mm-hmm.
answer them with a silly answer, and they be like, "Oh yeah, that yeah." Like one kid, yeah, the other day we had lunch. What are you eating there, Mister Eric? What does it look like, sir? Chips. Oh, then that's what I'm eating, and it just like helping them correct so they can have that common sense, or just to be able to talk. Like I want kids to be like, "What's wrong? Hey, come nope, come here. What's wrong? Who did it?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong? Like nope, we're not crying because crying. I try to tell kids, crying don't fix nothing. Like unless you hurt and something, you're like in pain and crying. But if you just whining, that's not gonna fix nothing. Explain to me what happened. Did
Mm-hmm.
somebody do something to you? And that's helping them in the long run so they can articulate themselves to a
Mm-hmm.
parent, anybody, like what's going on with you. And I don't think enough times, because I know as a kid I used to get a whooping first and then the questions was asked later. It wasn't no what's wrong, what happened today. Did you have a rough day at school? We ain't never get asked that. Hey, the reason I was cutting up, little Billy was bullying me. I dropped my lunch. The teacher was being kind of an a-hole today. Like, yeah, I did have a jacked up day. Sorry, my behavior bad. Can I not get a whooping today? That's kind of how it was. And
Right.
now with my son and even his sister is my daughter, and like she's older, she's a teenager, so I gotta approach her different than him.
Mm-hmm.
And just being a parent, I want people to hear what I'm saying from being a parent and an educator. Like, you gotta talk to your children. You gotta let them talk to
Absolutely.
you. You gotta let them open up. So, what I wanna, because I think I was talking a little bit. I want to give you a little talk in before we go,
It's fine. It's fine.
because this has been a good conversation from both angles. Uh,
Absolutely.
only thing I'm just jealous because you got like older kids and you don't got to deal with yeah, yeah. I'm not really a fan favorite of that. But I don't know. I'm not ready for grown kids yet, because I'm a grown kid and I understand grown kids still need their parents sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
for sure.
now, so what are now we're gonna go into the 3 tips, because I think you can elaborate really on like 3 tips. Uh, I would say we're gonna stick with educators. Like, what are three? We're gonna stick with 3 tips that educators can do to help their mental health. Something they can do at home, something they can do at the office, at the desk, whatever. What are some things that you think would help them with their mental health, just to kind of ease it a little bit outside of having, a counselor?
Right. So, so you mean so the things that educators could do for their own mental health, not students.
Yep, for educate. Yep, we're gonna piggyback and go back to the educators, just because I think some of them sometimes they overlook little stuff that they can do to help them.
Right. So the first thing I would say, and I know that people talking a lot about self care, and sometimes words get overused. It's like, oh, self care, self care, self care. But I actually believe in self care. And how people define self care, is subjective, right? But I believe, a lot of self care. So it could be, like the small things. I know that a lot of, like, so for people who might be into working out, now that, the gyms are back open, going to the gym, taking that time for yourself, getting, your mani pedis or massages if you can afford them. We already said that teachers are some of the most underpaid professionals on the planet, so trying to squeeze in those things like that could be, you know, challenging monetarily. Um, Teachers connecting with other teachers. I'm on a bunch of websites, not like officially, but like, there's these different websites where teachers talk to other teachers and help validate each other, because people that's outside of the profession, sometimes I think they think that we make all this stuff up. Oh, you making it up, it's not that hard, you get summers off, what's the problem? It's like, well, what's the point of me getting summers off if the entire summer I'm like recuperating from the school year? So it's like, what are you talking about? We get summers off. um like you had mentioned, any type of positive self-talk, affirmations, being out in nature, you know, all of those things, spending time with friends and family. Sometimes a good binge watch, ain't nothing wrong with that. A good binge watch on Netflix. Um, Whatever you can do that helps you feel better, that's what
Mm.
I'm a big advocate for that. Okay. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I love it. You said do what helps make you feel better, and I think people don't realize the little stuff that we do. Like today, I went to the store and I was upset because they didn't have any butter pecan. Like I wanted to
Mm,
just, yeah, they ain't had no butter pecan ice cream, and I'm like, man, I just want some butter pecan that really would have like just made me have a better day. Like, you know what I'm saying? That little,
mm-hmm,
and I didn't have it, and I was like, maybe it wasn't, and I didn't look at it like, oh man, blah, blah, blah. I was like, maybe it wasn't meant for me to get it, but I wanted it, and I wanted
mm-hmm.
to like, and like sometimes I'll sit back and I watch a movie, and it's like, it's a good movie. Sometimes, I'll try a new movie because I'm not a big movie person. I fall asleep on movies. So if I try a new movie, I got to be up. So, try a new movie or uh, listen to some different music. One thing, journaling, journal,
Mm,
write,
absolutely. Yes.
write down, write down stuff. Write down how you feeling. Write down why you felt this way because you could go back and look at that notebook and be like, oh, I remember I felt like that. What day was that? Oh, and then you can look and then you can figure out different things that you can um do to not, feel that way because like you
Yes.
said, you want to be a better yourself. So we're gonna do this the first time I got a 2-part 3-tip. We're gonna do what's 3 tips for students. What are we from our perspective, from our from our seat, what do we think that they can do to for their mental health?
Um, you know, I would definitely suggest a lot of the same things. A student might not have the same resources that, an educator might have. But I tell my students, because I do have students who are struggling, I tell them when you're going through something, you got to speak up. You have to let someone know that this is how you are feeling, and then we will do our best to try to connect you to resources. I also tell them take some time for yourself. I have students, I mentioned before how a lot of my students would be considered non-traditional students. Many of them, they have kids of their own, they're working. I have students who have been out of the school game for like years, and now here they come back at 30 or 40 because they're trying to get a promotion at work or something like that. So, I tell them as well, take some time for yourself and communicate with me. I will not know that you are going through something if you don't open up your mouth. But once you open up your mouth and you say to me, you say, Professor, X, Y, and Z, now we can come up with some type of a game plan. I'm I'm about setting my students up for success. I'm not trying to be punitive. I'm not trying to make students suffer or anything like that. There's nothing in it for me. Number one, and number two, human being to human being, I want to see my students be successful. So if you say to me, and this is a true story, I had a student who was in the middle of a domestic violence situation. Her significant other was doing everything in his power to keep her from being successful her studies and getting her degree because he feared that if she got her degree, now she'd be able to walk away because now she has, she has something in her corner. She has a bargaining chip, so to speak, right? So when she
Mhm.
goes for jobs, she can, I got my degree. So she suffered in silence for weeks. And then finally, she came to me and she told me what was going on. And we came up with a game plan because I wanted to see her succeed. She was fighting for her children. He was trying to take the kids away from her. He was keeping her up late at night so that she would be tired, so that she couldn't study for her tests and stuff. But once I knew that, once she shared that with me, now we could come up with a plan to help you be successful. And she got to be in that particular course. So
Wow.
sometimes students have, like tell your professors, right? For those folks that teach on the college level, tell your professors what you're going through. Don't keep it to yourself.
Exactly. I love, like, when you said communicate is with that teacher, that professor, whoever you're. But speak up. Like, you can speak up as a student. Speak up to somebody. Like, it don't if it ain't your teacher, if it ain't your mom, let it be somebody that can help you. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, even as adults, we speak up, but we speak up to somebody that can't help us.
Right.
You gotta talk to somebody that can. It could be an old head in the street, around the corner. It could be somebody at the barbershop. Talk to somebody, like, and like you said, take time for yourself. Because I think a lot of kids, gotta be with my friends. I gotta. No, sit down, chill. Because sometimes spending time with yourself is spending time with your family. You don't never see your family, like,
Mm.
they kids take granted for their family, for their mom and their dad and their grannies, especially their grannies. Like, kids don't really, I don't know, it ain't the same. Like, it's still some kids, granny still raise them and help and there, but it's like your granny was important.
Mm.
Like when you was like, some kids, you know, and taking time for yourself, but speaking up, because I remember I was speaking at the detention center, and this is where, like, kind of you said, like, this is where I couldn't do too much of whatever. The kid told me his mom was on drugs, like cocaine, like she was, like, he's seen it, he's there, his face, it's in his face, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't never, I don't know nothing about that, but I'm gonna see what I can do for you, like, and him speaking up and getting that out there. Now somebody gonna want to help you. You're a child. Nobody want to see you, going through that. So now somebody can help you because he spoke up, because he felt comfortable around me and the other people in there, and talking about it. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you speak up because you're in class. Somebody gonna make fun of you.
Right. Yep.
Guess what, kids? If you listening, or adults, this I tell this to you. I tell this to my kids and my students all the time. Everybody ain't gonna like you. Everybody's not gonna like. I tell people that everybody didn't like Jesus. I mean, that let you know everybody ain't gonna like you. Everybody ain't gonna like what you do. Everybody ain't gonna like your hair color. Everybody ain't gonna like because you start dressing a certain way. They might not like you because you like such and such. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? Nobody cares. When at the end of the day, I just did a video today. Nobody cares really. They just got opinions to make you think that they care. They really don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? When we pass away, depending on what kind of legacy you left, they might talk about you for a month, maybe two.
That's
But
right.
after, after that, you got your certain people. But yeah, that's it.
That's
So
it.
so students, like, yeah, speak up, talk to somebody, but take time for yourself too. Like, I don't think they understand that. And it's before I have you give us a quote. It's good. I love seeing little kids play by themselves. I love seeing my son have an imagination, and he's having the time of his life, but it's him and his toys. And that's kids don't kids some kids don't get to be kids.
Mm-hmm.
And taking time for yourself is just be a kid. I don't care if you're 17, you're a kid. If you're 10, if you're 4, if you're 7, you're still a kid. Be a kid.
Absolutely.
Have a kid moment. Go to the amusement park, something. But I have all my guests give me a quote. I call it the underdog quote. It could be something you read, something you saw. It could be a quote you use, but something that can help somebody with their mental health.
Oh boy. Oh, okay. I wasn't really prepared for that. Like I would have did my homework. Um
It's a pop quiz. Ain't no homework.
because I'm really big on, being prepared. I think that's the teacher in me.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Let me see. What would I say? Okay. Mm, 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 mm. Okay. I don't want there to be too much dead time on your podcast.
Oh no, I definitely get it.
Oh, okay. So this is good. I just pulled up a bunch of quotes that have to do with mental health, and the one I like is, and the author is unknown, but it's don't believe everything you think, right? Don't believe everything you think. And I really like that because sometimes in our minds, right, in our monkey minds, we think things, but they're not true, right? So do not believe everything you think. I think it's like real, it's real simple. It's to the point because you could be thinking something that is totally not true. Something that has been fed to you by whomever. So I like that. I like that quote. Don't believe everything you think.
Yeah,
Unknown source.
yeah, I definitely love that. Don't, because sometimes you definitely think negative thoughts. You definitely think that stuff's going bad's gonna happen. So don't believe everything you think. So how can people reach out to you? Um, I'm sure people, especially educators, want to be able to highlight you, talk to you. How can people reach out to you?
Okay, so my professional email address is L, right? Holmes, HOLMES at gmail.com.
Hmm.
Okay. So L is lowercase. Everything is lowercase. lholmes at gmail.com. That's my professional email. And also, um, I'm going to be launching my very own podcast and YouTube channel at the end of the month. So what I could do is, because I'm just about ready to make it do what it do. So I don't want to like really give out any too much information. What I can do is I don't know when this is going to air, but by the time you get ready to air this, I can give you my information and you could put it in the show notes.
All right, I got you. I got you. We don't want to put pull the rabbit out the hat.
Right, right.
Understand. So you can reach out to me at underdog talk podcast at gmail if you got criticism, if you got feedback, good things, bad things, if you want to be on the show, if you know somebody that would like to be on the show. All social media is underdog talk podcast. Underdog talk podcast.
That's all one
Facebook.
word.
Yep.
Underdog talk.
No,
Underdog
no, no,
talk.
no. So if you just put in underdog and then put in talk, so it's not under one word, just underdog, and underdog is spelled UNDERDAWG, and then talk podcast, and you'll find that on Facebook and on Instagram. And I will be having videos soon. That's one thing. By the end of the month, I will start doing video podcasts so y'all can see my lovely face. I am single. I am single, lady. So if anyone in the New York in New York, if you got some nieces or anything of that sort, um, you know, I definitely want to visit New York because of the fashion, um, and eat some food. So anyways, just throwing that out there in the air. But
Okie dokie.
do you have any closing words before we get out of here?
Um, do you have any? No. I guess the only thing that I would say is that I think that conversations around mental health are so important, and so thank you for bringing this to your platform and having conversations about stuff like this, especially as people of color. I think it's important that we destigmatize you know um, talking about mental health. So thank you.
Thank you, because like you said, we had a good conversation. Excuse me,
Absolutely.
a good conversation about mental health and being in education, and sometimes we don't sit down and have those conversations, or we sit down and have those conversations amongst ourselves and don't talk about it to where other people can hear, or like people could actually hear how we go through stuff, because they don't really
Mm-hmm.
know we go through a lot. We go through a lot as educators, and especially it depends on the area, grade, and kind of kids and environment and all that. Oh yeah, it could be like lean on me. It
Mm-hmm.
definitely
For
could.
sure.
But again, thank you for being on, reaching out, and I'm glad we got this done because we both
I
uh,
know. Long
we kept
story, long story.
yeah,
But thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
yep, no problem. And on that note, peace, one love.